Good evening. Tonight I'm going to be talking to you about Google Docs and some of the other technologies that we've introduced in the district in the past year or two. But to start, we're going to be talking about Google Docs. And what is Google Docs? Well, it's an online office suite. Basically what that means is it has an online, it's all web-based first of all, so it's online. It's a word processor, it's a spreadsheet, it's a presentation tool. Has a drawing component where I can create drawings, diagrams, so forth. Students can use to create, documents that way. It has the ability to do online forms or online data collections, so that I can put out a survey and ask certain questions, and those results come back to the person who creates the document or people working on the document in a spreadsheet format where the data can be analyzed and further broken down. It has the ability to view PDFs online as well as do optical character recognition on those PDFs and translate the text out. It's also an online storage space, so it's kind of like a portable flash drive, if you will. So I can, put files up there at home, and when I get to school where those files are there, they're just available to me. I can be anywhere in the world. I can be at a coffee shop in China and access my school documents if that's where I happen to be. So Google Docs is all this. It's online. Which makes it nice and easy for students so that no matter where they go, they have access to their documents right there and available. They have the same version whether they're at home or at school. There's no file compatibility issues. But what really makes Google Docs shine is that it has collaborative document sharing. That is, multiple people can work on a document at the same time. I'm going to be showing that a little bit more later on. So, how does Google Docs work? Basically, it's cloud-based. It's cloud storage, online documents. So you can access these documents from any web browser, anywhere. So this includes things such as your normal PCs and Macs, Linux machines. We have some students using those now at home. Android phones, which are becoming very popular. iPods and iPads. Anything with a browser, I shouldn't say anything, but most things with a browser have capabilities of getting into these documents. And like I said earlier, it's the same version, so no matter where I am, whether I'm at home or I'm at school, I always have access to this. It's always the same. I always have access to the same documents, the same editor, and so forth. Going back to talking about the other devices, as students start to bring in their computers and their own personal portable devices, they can use these in the class now with our wireless that's throughout the district. They can actually log into their Google Docs anywhere they are in the schools and be able to access their documents. So what makes Google phenomenal and a true educational tool is basically this collaborative document sharing. So it's real-time collaboration. And what I want to do right now is just take a minute to show you a sample of what this is like. So because this is an online presentation, some of the wow factor is going to be lost a little bit. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up my documents here. And so here's the list of my documents that would be online, and I have the sample collaboration document. So I'm going to bring that up. So here I am, I'm working on it. No, I didn't write this. This is the actual Gettysburg Address, as many of you will recognize. So here I am, imagine me though as a student working on this document. And along comes another student from another computer. So what I have here on the screen right now is my computer back here and another computer here. Notice it's telling me on this computer that Jay Handler is viewing the document. Watch this screen right here where it says 4 as I begin working over here. So if I start typing, I say, hello. You'll notice on the screen behind me, it's actually typing this. Now, again, this is not so impressive because it's on the same computer, but the reality is it is on 2 different computers. And you can imagine this is a virtual machine right now, but I could be anywhere in the world. So as I'm typing, I can be changing this document. I can be highlighting this and saying, this shouldn't be 4 score. This should be 80 plus 7 years ago. Should be how the document is. And you'll notice over here, I'm seeing Jay Handler from this computer changing that document in real time. And of course, on this computer, the same would hold true, that I can come down here and let's say I start editing this part. You'll notice in the document behind me, I can start adding, what does this mean? So I'm showing you different examples. So this might be something that a teacher might have access to a student's paper and be making comments in here and saying, I want that to stand out. So the student, when they look at the paper, sees this and says, well, what does this mean? And they know from the teacher, this is something I need to go in and make some changes to. And there's all kinds of other capabilities of this. This is a very, very broad overview. But the idea of real-time collaboration, students being able to work on documents at the same time, staff being able to work on documents at the same time, staff and students being able to work on things at the same time or sharing them in an easy and reliable manner is just phenomenal. So I'm going to skip ahead. So basically, how have we used it so far in the district? Well, it was launched in the spring of 2010. Students have been using it to work on documents together. We've seen that. We've seen students just working on it without as just a word processing or a spreadsheet, without needing any other software on their home computer. We've always had issues in the past where we run this version of Microsoft Office in our district. Well, they run WordPerfect at home or this Star Office, and we've always had compatibility issues. So this eliminates that because students, when they're at home, have access to the same exact suite that they have access to here. And when they submit it to a staff member, they can either submit it electronically by just sharing the document with their teacher, or they can save it off as a Word document or some other format that the teacher is requesting. We've had teachers editing students' work both in real time and off time. We had a great example was in our middle school. One of the teachers brought her students down to the computer lab, and they were working on a paper. And so the students were working on it, but they all shared their paper with the teacher, and the teacher sat in the back of the room, and she was going into their papers and making comments and not changes, but necessarily comments and recommendations to the students while the students were working. So here the student was typing away, and all of a sudden, some recommendations would pop up about things that they should be changing. We've seen students doing peer review and peer editing. So that's been something that they've started using this for. And finally, just teacher collaboration. Last year, we piloted this using the district's technology plan. We actually worked on that. The 10 of us who were on that committee all sat around a table. We all had laptops open. We brought up a copy of the document, and we were discussing what changes. And as somebody made those changes, we all saw them and said, yeah, that looks great, or no, let's change it this way. So some of the other initiatives we've been rolling out in the district is, of course, Moodle. We talked about last year. We will be upgrading the Moodle server this summer to Moodle 2.0, which starts to expand on some of the Web 2.0 capabilities that are out there now, such as including collaboration and so forth. Now, people have asked us, well, why are we continuing Moodle, or why do we have Google Docs since we have Moodle? And the reality is they're not the same thing. Where Google Docs is about document collaboration and working together on a document, Moodle is more like it's a classroom website that is where teachers can distribute information to students, and students can work together on things, but not necessarily sharing documents, as in Google Docs is really just, it's an Office suite available online. So they do serve different purposes. We do have a lot of classroom mounted projectors, which we've been rolling out over the past year. High school has about 70% of their classrooms now with mounted projectors. The middle school is at about 50%. Art Road is also about 50%. The K-4 varies from building to building. Finally, we're looking to do a new student information system. We've been looking at that for the past 2 to 3 years, with the budget being tight. But we're looking at a new student information system that integrates an online gradebook and parent portal. Right now, there's only 4 districts in Somerset County that do not have one. We are one of those 4 districts. So, at this point, I invite any questions people may have. Below is my information, and thank you for your time.